Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 3. Mic check. All right. Y'all couldn't hear me at all. I guess it's been a while. Yeah, it anytime I decide to jump on here and live stream, it's a whole ordeal. A lot of work goes into preparing this stuff, making it work, fine tuning things, and I'm always doing the most. So I'm so happy to see you all. How's everything? Everything sounding okay? I'm in my brand new office space, so I got a new office where I can record YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to be able to bring you high quality tech content. Like, that's what I'm about. I want to bring high quality tech education right to your doorstep, and I don't want you to have to spend a dime for it. So I'm excited to be able to live stream with you. Thank you for showing up and participating with me. Obviously, we're going to get into the topic of the hour, but first I want to find out how y'all are doing. We've got folks tuning in from LinkedIn, from YouTube, from Twitter. I appreciate you. Thank you. You don't have to be here with me on a Thursday night talking about resumes, but yet here we are. Just so that you know, I wanted to make my first new generation video. I'm gonna call it my new generation video. I decided to make my first new generation video about resumes, and everything that I do is about, in my opinion, meeting a need for the people who follow me and for the people who I surround myself with. And obviously, times have been very, very tough for us as engineers, as technologists, as product managers, project managers. It doesn't really matter where you are in tech, unless you're really on the forefront of AI innovation. Like, the rest of us are just trying to figure out what our place is in this tech world and in this environment, and then to chart a course that's going to help us be successful. So, that for me is what I'm seeing, and I felt like I was in a unique position to help it to contribute by talking about something that's very important to me, which is helping to make sure that your resume is what it needs to be. So the goal is, for our time together, is we're going to look at some segments of the YouTube video that I put together. I released it like last week. It seems like it's been forever ago, but I released it last week, and I've been sharing clips and things like that. But I feel very passionate about make sure you got a good resume, because the resume serves as a foundation for kind of everything else that you do with your professional brand, or at least that's my claim. It becomes like the one document that, or a type of document that codifies who you want to be to the outside world. And then I think you take what's on your resume, put that on your LinkedIn, you take what's on LinkedIn, you put that in other places, and yada, yada, yada. So I've talked about personal branding before. I probably will do a video on personal branding, but holla at me. Let me know if there's something that you want me to be talking about, something that you wish that you would see somebody discuss and make a high quality video about, because I'd love to get into it and be helpful. Stephen May, so good to see you. So it's been a while since we talked, man. So I look forward to hearing from you. Michael Jenkins, the legend. What's going on, bro? Good to see you. Jose Bonilla, man, I always appreciate you. I occasionally see your videos on running, so you're just an inspiration to me. Smart and disciplined, and I appreciate that. Wayne Green, what's going on? Joining us from YouTube. I don't know if I can holler at the Twitter people. Y'all know how I feel about Twitter, y'all. You know how I feel. I can't call it X. I don't want to sound like I'm on drugs. That's it. That's all. Yeah, Ryan, I appreciate you, man. Look, even that you tuned in for a couple of seconds, that means a lot to me. It really does. So the replay will be available. I'll make sure to get that in your hands and all that stuff, because I want to be out there and visible, and I want to make sure that I'm delivering, like I said, quality stuff. And Jose, like I said, I appreciate you. All right, so without further ado, here's the agenda for our time together. I want to talk about the video and just start going through clips and bits. Hopefully you've seen the video already, and if you haven't, don't worry. You, of course, have the opportunity till Christ comes back. So that's going to be available for you. So I want to go through some clips, talk about my thinking behind it, give you the opportunity to ask questions if that's something that you want to do, and interact and engage with me. Also, I want to talk about some things that you should be doing once your resume is done. So whether you choose to rewrite your own resume or whether you have somebody else do it for you, it's important to know what to do with it. And I would submit to you that the last thing that you want to do with your resume is just upload it to LinkedIn or Monster or Indeed or something like that and just expect it to do work for you. That's not what I want you to walk away our time believing. I want you to understand that you've got to do work to put your resume in front of the right eyes and to foster an environment where people are interested in learning more about you. And that is an active exercise, not a passive one. So I want you thinking about that. We're going to talk about it. If you got questions, like I said, let me know, because we're going to get into it and talk about it. So like I said, I've got some a couple of just housekeeping items. I'm going to reference a lot of resources, and I want you to know that you can find pretty much everything at anthonydmays.com/links. It's the one place that you go to connect with anything I'm about online. So you want to connect with me on Twitter or on X. You can find all my socials there, YouTube channel, all that stuff. If you want to find my blog, that is also at anthonydmays.com/links. If you want to work with me, if you need some coaching and want someone to guide you through resumes, personal branding, technical interviewing, all that stuff, we can get as technical or as non-technical as you need. I'm here as a resource to help out. What else is there? If you want to get in touch and you feel like there's a service that I can provide to your community, maybe your boot camp, I work with several boot camps in several schools to provide tech education for them. If that's something you're interested in, anthonydmays.com/links will get you to my website and to the way that you can request me to speak in your organization or on stage, because that's what I do. Let's see, is there anything else? No, that's pretty much it. Hopefully y'all got it. anthonydmays.com/links. I can type it in the chat, but I don't know that everybody's going to get it. So that's why I'm telling y'all right now. Cool. Where else are we going with this? One other resource that I want to apprise you of course, is the video itself. So if you want to bookmark the video and have it ready to go, that is at, where's that link? Let me go find it. amaze.me/resume-YouTube. So this is the link that you can go to, link that you can share if you want to quickly get to that YouTube video and check it out. Like I said, we're going to watch some clips together and talk about what it meant, and I'm going to take your questions and we're going to get into it. But feel free to just bookmark that. That way you can check it out later on. And I spent a lot of time, put a lot of love into that video. This year, 2025, marks the start of something very new for me and for my channel on YouTube. And so my sense is those of us who are in tech, who are trying to provide value in this industry, we're all stepping our game up. I've been talking about Jason Lengstorf and the Learn with Jason channel, which is now, was it Tech TV? I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately. Jason, if you're watching, sorry about that. But Jason Lengstorf, Learn with Jason, go follow him, go check out the stuff that he has, because he is just doing some amazing stuff when it comes to tech content on the web and really making a place not just for tech education, but tech entertainment. So I'm inspired by him. I'm gonna keep saying that until I'm tired and blue in the face. But you know, those of us who are doing this, like, we want to do it at a high level. I definitely want to do it at a high level, and I like working with people who also want to do it at a high level. So I say all that to say, check out the video. And please, if you enjoy what you've seen and you get value out of it, like the video, subscribe. I'm here to serve you. So subscribe on YouTube, and then leave a comment. I try to reply to as many comments as I can. I don't have that many people who follow me, so you see what I'm saying? I can make some time to support you all. So leave me a comment. Let me know how I can do better. Let me know if there's something that you want to see. Let me know if you didn't like something. There are people who get on the YouTube videos and, you know, they tell me what they don't like. It's all good. I know how to be who I am, regardless of other people's feedback. So leave a comment, drop a like, subscribe. All this stuff helps me to be able to continue to do this at a high level and to take it to another level. So some of y'all know where I came from. Started from the bottom. Now we're here, but we don't stop. All right. there is a companion article to the video. You can find all these resources, by the way, in the YouTube video description. I do talk about, I have written about resume advice before on my blog, anthonydmays.com/blog. So you can go there and check it out. The specific article around dealing with a bad resume and how to rewrite it and think about it the right way. You can also find that. So maybe you don't want to watch the whole video, which is less than a cartoon episode on Saturday morning. So it ain't that long, but if you prefer to read and want to be able to take notes and stuff like that, that is available for you. Okay, enough about the links. I'll flash these up as we get into the context, but I want to jump into the video real quick. One more thing, if I can. What did y'all think about the video? Like, tell me, why wait? Did you enjoy it? Did you find it insightful? Were there things that you learned? Were there things you didn't like? Holla at me. I would love to know if this was useful. Hey, Netta, what's going on? It's so good to see you. Well, you know, virtually. I so appreciate your affection for me and your support over the years. I hope your job interview went well the other day. We got to talk about that at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, this is so cool to be able to be around people who, you know, that I feel like I can serve and that support me in a genuine way. And I try to support you all. If I can be supporting you better, of course, let me know. All right, cool. I want to jump into this. Steven, love the video. Notice the little touches like the new filming location and great background music. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You know, all of this for me there's a reason behind it. There's a method to the madness. And for me, it really is about delivering as best a quality as I can in whatever I do. And so, you know, because I believe that the information is valuable. And I believe that the way that I purvey that information and the quality of everything from the visuals to the graphics to the audio should reflect the quality of the content, because I believe in the content, I believe in what I'm talking about. So appreciate you checking that out and watching. I'm coming for MKBHD. I'm coming for Jason. I'm coming for now Red, now Blue. Like, I'm coming for Nigel. I'm coming for all y'all. I want to be up there. That's my ambition. So that's cool. Yeah, one of the other things that I definitely want to talk about and that we should review is when to use AI. We're all curious about how we can use AI in a way that's going to be helpful for us. Some of us have learned the hard way that there are some wrong ways to use AI that are counterproductive to us being able to get to where we're trying to go. Artificial intelligence can never be a replacement for actual intelligence. And so we've got to be using our minds and using AI as a tool to complement what we should be able to do. And that requires a lot of honesty. We got to be honest with ourselves about where we are in our own journey and about what we bring to the table, right? And where we've got to make progress. There's some times where I know I can find the answer very quickly on AI, but it's not going to serve me in the long run if I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. So, you know, I think if the question is ever, do you think first or do you use AI first? The question is always think first, research first, read first, then use AI as a double check. Yeah, Heather, you know, that's the one thing I kind of wanted to go around and talk to my friends who are resume writers, readers, and recruiters and just kind of get their impression. But I've had the opportunity to talk to recruiters in the past, and the feedback has uniformly been that resumes are just terrible. And I used to believe that, yeah, maybe, you know, if I had to take a guess of how many resumes are bad compared to how many resumes are good, I would have, in my very young days, assumed that like 80% of resumes are great, you know, or at least good enough. And I think that there used to be a time in tech where that was where it was true that resumes were good enough because nobody really cared about the resume, right? And I talk about this in the video. Before, I'd say 2022, it didn't matter what your resume looked like. Now well, now the systems are just auto-rejecting most people anyway, regardless. But yeah, I've noticed that even before these dark times, resumes have not looked great. And it's just that we didn't hold people to as high a bar in terms of how they represented themselves on their resume and LinkedIn like we do now. So in one sense, I feel like the tech industry is catching up to other industries where, you know, you actually needed to put in the work for your personal brand and all those other kinds of things. But at the same time, You know, the things that I'm seeing aren't new. The problems that I'm seeing aren't new. And these are things I've been talking about for years and for a long time. So thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate that insight and that feedback. And look, y'all, this is a collaboration. This is a conversation two-way. Y'all let me know where you think I'm tripping, and I will be sure to let you know where I think y'all are tripping. Like, let's just keep it 100. Because I want to be able to tell you the things that the recruiter might not be able to tell you, that the interviewer might not be able to tell you, but I can, because I love you, and I'm trying to do what I can to make sure that y'all have what you need. Okay, let's cue up the first video, because I feel like it's just good to walk through this bit by bit, and I don't want to be here all day, and I don't want you to be here all day, but happy to keep you company. So in this first clip, I'm just going to play the intro of the video and just provide you a little more context around some of the things that I'm saying there. So without further ado, let's get into it. Your tech resume is garbage. How do I know? For over 22 years, I've been a software engineer, tech interviewer, and career coach. And during that time, I've reviewed a lot of resumes. Most of them were terrible. You might think your resume is great, but if you've been struggling to land roles in this terrible tech job market, your resume might not be as good as you think it is. Now, I'm no pro resume writer, but my resume was good enough to get me into my dream job at Google. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to write a winning resume by showing you how I would rewrite my own, and I'm going to do it from scratch. Having a good tech resume didn't used to matter all that much a few years ago. I'm talking about before the dark times of the pandemic, mass tech layoffs, and AI. By just having the right keywords on your resume, you could easily get recruiters reaching out to you from companies big and small. But it's 2025, and nobody really wants to hire you, sort of. To even get attention these days, engineers actually have to have good resumes and solid LinkedIn profiles. And even then, you might get auto-rejected. So what's the point of having a good resume then? Simple. A good resume makes it easier for companies who actually want to hire you to find you. And getting those details from your resume and onto your LinkedIn profile will make you way more. Okay, I'm not sure that the video clip was supposed to end right there, but you get the idea. So it's no secret to all of y'all that the industry is bad. And one thing that I keep telling my students at the Code Differently Bootcamp in Wilmington, Delaware, is nobody wants to hire you. If you're under 3 years of experience, nobody really wants to hire you. If you're, say, between 3 and like 5, 6, somewhere around there, they kind of want to hire you. But you know, it's very clearly there's a lot of saturation in this tech market, a lot of competition, more competition than I personally have ever seen in my 23-year career. And so, you know, you are going up against candidates who worked at the best of the best organizations and companies within tech, and not all of them are FAANG, right? But yeah, the competition is just fierce, and so figuring out any little way that you can stand out is going to make a difference, whether that be on your resume, whether that be on your LinkedIn profile, whether that be in the DMs that you send, whether it be in your posts on any social media platform. There are real people who are really struggling, right? Where they have just been laid off and they are trying to figure out how to get that next job in the next couple of months, when so many people are out there and have been searching for 6 months or more. If you're looking for a job right now, tell me, how long have you been searching? You know, what's it been like for you? The people that I've been talking to have been saying things like 6 months to a year to get their next position. I'm hearing advice like, wherever you are, don't leave. Like, this is a terrible time to leave a job if you are considering that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but you know, that's the context that we're sitting in right now. And so one reason that I submit that it can be difficult to you know, get in is because you have the expectation that your resume is representing everything that it needs to, and you're shipping it around all over the place and applying to the front door, and you're not getting callbacks, right? You're not getting any attention. And it very well could be that your resume is what's preventing you from being able to stand out as a candidate. Now, I would argue that it's not just your resume, of course. If you fix your resume and you don't do the other things you should do after you fix your resume, you're still in a bad way. But your resume is, I think, a really foundational part. And not only that, but I think that when you don't write a good resume, when you don't know how to write a good resume, I think that's indicative of a greater problem, which is that you don't know how to defend your own value. You don't know how to talk about your impact. If you don't know how to write a good resume, you probably also don't know how to send a good DM to a recruiter. If you don't know how to write a good resume, you probably also don't know how to represent yourself well on LinkedIn or other platforms. If you don't know how to write a good resume, you probably don't know how to represent yourself well in performance reviews. So there's a lot of things that not being able to write a good resume are indicative of. And I'm not talking about just writing in English or the language of your choice. This discussion is beyond that. There are people who know how to represent themselves well that, yeah, maybe they're not the best speller or the best when it comes to managing grammar. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, do you know how to understand how your accomplishments demonstrate impact that make you worthy of attention by companies or organizations or people who want to take advantage of your services? So, that's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. So when I talk about, as we address this topic of having a good resume, I want you to think about more than just a piece of paper. It's more than just about the piece of paper. It's about how you are representing yourself in this market and distinguishing yourself from other people, okay? So that's where I'm coming from, and that's what I'm thinking about here. Yeah, it's interesting because usually as a coach, my busiest season tends to be sort of end of Q1, getting into Q2. That's where a lot of my clients typically have come to me for a technical interview prep. They're in the cycle for stuff. So that normally is what happens. I'd say, again, 2022 and before, that was the pattern that I was seeing. 2022 and after, it's just been crap. It really has been. I've had to transition as an entrepreneur because whereas there were so many people who were coming to me for interview advice, all of a sudden everybody's coming to me for just like, Anthony, how do I even get a job? Like I can't even prepare for the resume if I don't have any interviews lined up. So, and not only that, but there's been so many layoffs. There was a layoff at Meta last week. There was a layoff at Google a couple of weeks ago. And I know there's been, and of course there's layoffs in the government. So yeah, it's just rough all around. Okay. But again, we can analyze the problem all day. I want to bring as many solutions as I can that I believe is going to be helpful to you. So that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do. I should get my phone out, make sure that I'm catching messages that may be coming my way because I want to respond to all the people. Okay, so that's where my head is at. But I want to, again, have y'all thinking about the greater context of the resume, because the resume doesn't just exist by itself. It's not the key that unlocks everything. It's just part of your complete breakfast, as I like to say. Okay. In the video, we talk about the different parts of the resume, and I'll just really quickly reiterate what that is. At easiest part is your contact information, name, email address, LinkedIn profile. If you have a GitHub, list that there. Your personal website, your address or the city and state, something like that. So you need to have that stuff there. This shouldn't be new information. So have your contact information. Then after that, I recommended your professional summary. So you should be able to describe like, what are you about and what do you believe in and why do you think that you're the best person for the role? Some companies probably still require a cover letter. Very few of them do. I've only written a cover letter maybe 2 or 3 times in my 23-year career because it's just not common in tech. But nevertheless, pro summary is like the much shorter version of the cover letter. And most of y'all just get it wrong. So you probably shouldn't even include it if you're not going to follow my advice in the video, like just straight up and down. So the third thing that you should have on, so contact information, pro summary, then after that, your skills. So you should be listing that out. And skills are where you put all the keywords and you do all that stuffing. Now, real quick, I know that some people have recommended like take all the skills from a job description, put them in white font on your resume. That way you're 100% matching against ATS systems. I don't like that because number one, that puts you in a position probably to lie about some things that you don't have. I don't think that recruiters are expecting you to be a 100% match for anything. I think if recruiters can see that you're at least a 50% match, that's a really encouraging sign. Nobody matches 100%, and if you do match 100%, that is just wild, right? So you can try that if you want to. I don't know if folks have encountered any success, but at some point your resume hits the eyes of a human being, and you've got to convince that human being. And I'm not sure that stuffing keywords in white text on your resume or small point font is going to really impress the human that has to look at your resume and decide whether to give you a call or not. That's just my opinion. Okay, after skills comes education, professional experience. Professional experience is the most important part of your resume. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. If you screw this section up, it doesn't matter how beautiful your resume looks or how many skills you have, you're probably not going to get the job and probably not going to get the attention. So, you're going to spend most of your time there in the professional experience section. Make sure that your professional experience is a reflection of your professional experience. So if you made $1 using your skills, it goes in your professional section. And I talked about the things that shouldn't be in your professional experience section, like volunteer work, like projects, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, the person who's reading your resume is probably not going to consider that professional experience, okay? Those of us who are entrepreneurs understand that what people take from you for free isn't the same as what they take from you or what they're willing to pay for, right? What people are willing to pay for is different. There's a different expectation than something that they might get and use from you for free. I have enough trouble getting y'all to use my free stuff, right? Like, let's just be 100% clear. I put free stuff out there that people don't read or watch. So it's tough to provide things for free, but getting people to actually pay you and to go through the work of transacting in dollars, it says something about your value on the market, right? Well, it says that you have value. So make sure that your professional experience reflects the professional stuff. After that, if you need to put projects, so for those of you with like less than 2-3 years of experience or with significant gaps on your resume, maybe you know this particular programming language, but a company really wants you to know this other programming language. Maybe you make a project and then turn that into something that you can throw on your resume. So your project work and volunteer experience and things should be designed to fill in gaps that your professional experience doesn't cover. I didn't say that in the video, but that's what I'm telling you now. Use your project section to kill the gaps and fill the gaps. That's what you should endeavor to do. So those of you who don't have professional experience, you're going to use your projects heavily, but you're going to treat it as though it were professional experience. Do not make the mistake of thinking, oh, I'm just going to throw some stuff together in my projects just so I can get the keywords. That's not how you use the project section. You can use the skill section for that, but really the project section, you should be thinking about the impact that you would have or that you have made, even if you didn't get paid. How much human intervention do you believe happens these days? Everything filtered through bots first. I don't know is the short answer to the question. I think given how many job seekers there are out there and just the great demand and all that stuff, I have to believe that every recruiter out there who's still employed and hasn't been laid off is up to their neck in applications and resumes. So I'd have a hard time believing that they aren't relying on tools and bots to help with the load and to at least help with prioritization. And that's really the thing. Like when you think about ATS systems or when you think about computer systems, I want you to think about prioritization. That's really the most important role of those systems. Who should I be looking at first? Who should I be looking at second? All the way down until you get to whatever threshold and you can't look at anything anymore. So it's about prioritization. So you want to make sure that whatever you submit or whether it be your resume, profile, GitHub, whatever, that it helps you to rank amongst the top candidates. Think about it like Google, right? I can make a web page and put it out there and it can rank in the search results. But if I don't rank highly enough, nobody's ever going to see it, right? Like if I go beyond that first page of blue links, traditionally are like past the first 10 or whatever, the chances of people seeing that are just nil. It's just not going to happen. So you want to figure out how to play the game so that you rank highly enough that humans will look at it. I'm pretty sure that there are companies where recruiters are just dismissing resumes outright because of what they're seeing from the bots or from AI, which I think is a huge mistake, because great engineers are also terrible at writing resumes, right? Outstanding talent has a terrible, like they're just as bad as everybody else when it comes to writing resumes. So you might miss great talent that's a good fit because you're dismissing them based on their resume. Well, everybody's resume is bad, right? And you've got some very incompetent people who are really strong at writing good resumes. They can make the most beautiful, appealing resumes that don't say anything about what they can actually do, or they're just straight up lying. So I would find it hard to believe that people are just relying on the bots. And I think that'd be a mistake for any organization. And I think that I was reading about some manager that found out that like so many resumes were getting dismissed just by the bots, and that the recruiters weren't looking at them, and had to fire the whole team. I wish I'd anticipated that, because then I would have gone and found the tweet and then brought that here. But yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. Okay. So after the project, we talked about the contact section. We talked about professional experience, skills, sorry, let me back it up. There's the contact section, there's the professional summary, there's the skills section, professional experience. Then after that is the project section. And then for most of us, education is going to go last. If you are a student, education goes first, period. If you're in school, you do not want to miss the opportunity to be signed up for apprenticeships or internships. So you need to make sure that section's at the top of your resume, but for the rest of it's going to be at the bottom, okay? And remember that this is guidelines. These are guidelines, right? Some people put their skills at the bottom of their resume. I don't think that's where they go. I think that they go towards the top so that a recruiter who's looking at your resume can just quickly check, do they have the skills or not? And if they don't have the skills, or if you don't have, maybe some key skills that they're looking for, they can decide whether to continue reading or not. But making them scan all the way down to the bottom for that information is not the business. But in reality, the ordering doesn't matter as much as it used to anyway, because most times when you're applying for a role, you're just going to copy all that stuff into a form, and they're going to arrange it the way they want to see it anyway. So other than the education section, everything else, don't put your professional experience, professional summary below the professional experience section. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I'm willing to be convinced about where the skills section goes, depending upon the company that we're talking about. Okay. So, and by all means, you should, of course, have your contact info at the top of the resume. Who would put it just at the bottom? I guess maybe there would be people who would do that. That seems weird to me, but, that's just me. Heather's here to back me up again. Prefer skills at the top and education at the bottom for all non-entry level. Yeah, there you go. See, that's the way that I was taught 23 years ago, and it turns out that it's still relevant. I'm an old man. And I love that for me. All right, so we talked about that. Let's talk about the process of the resume real quick. So I'm just gonna play this clip of the video where I'll talk about the process, and then just give you a little background on that.
Writing a resume involves 3 very important and crucial steps. I'd like to break it down like this: read, reflect, and write. Let's look at each step of the process, starting with read. So I like to start by carefully reading a few job descriptions for roles that could be a good fit, and then build the best resume I can that would fare well for all 3 positions. This might sound hard, but it's not too difficult. The key is to pick positions that are very similar to each other so that your resume is within the ballpark. To get myself set up for success.
Okay, so when we're talking about anytime I'm talking about resume prep, I've always got to talk about job description, because making a resume without reading the job descriptions just doesn't make any sense. It's like trying to shoot a target that you can't see, blindfolded. So you've got to read the job descriptions, and then you've got to tailor your resume for that. Now, obviously, I don't believe in writing a resume from scratch for every single job that you're applying for, and I talk about that in the video. Instead, what you should do is look at maybe 3 job descriptions, at least, that are for similar roles. So don't take 3 job descriptions for 3 different kinds of roles and then try to write a resume to hit all those boxes. It's going to be confusing, okay? There's no way that you should write a resume where you're trying to be a clown, a barista, and a project manager. There's no way that you're going to write a good resume that's going to hit all those concurrently. So if you want to be a project manager, look at 3 project manager roles. If you want to be a software engineer, look at software engineer. Software developer is very similar. Those kinds of roles. Make sure that they're all within the same ballpark, and you should be able to read and tell how close they are. So do that. Look at analyze like 3 job descriptions. I wouldn't recommend doing 4 or 5 because that's going to be a lot, in my opinion. So I think not less than 2, not more than 3 is a good sweet spot for customizing your resume. And you're going to read those thoroughly so that you understand what's going on. And most of the video is actually spent analyzing job descriptions. Like at least half the video I spend just analyzing the job descriptions, just talking through that. Real quickly, Jose, you ask, what are your thoughts on fake job postings, companies that post jobs they never planned on filling just to gather some data? So number one, I would say that is ethically wrong. I think that is deceiving, and I think that it is that it will ruin trust with people who maybe would have considered joining your company, but right? I mean, because it's not nice when you get like serial rejection over and over and over again, and you start to form an opinion about those companies because you understand who you are and you understand what you believe you can bring to the table, and you just want a fair shot. And to apply and then get a rejection 5 seconds later isn't a good feeling. And I think that companies are going to pay for that because there's a buyer's market and there's a seller's market. It's not always a buyer's market. It's not always a seller's market. And I think that that we're going to remember how companies treated us during this particular time in history. Those companies may not care now, but I think that they will have to care later on. Okay. So that's what I feel about that. Sometimes companies post out of obligation, right? So they know who they want to give the job to, but they've got to make it public anyway due to laws and guidelines and all this other stuff. So this is why I say that applying to the front door is going to help you, because you don't really know what that's about. What you should be doing is connecting with recruiters and hiring managers directly. You should be paying attention to what they're saying they need, establish that relationship, and then submit your resume that way. That's what I think. When I applied to Google, I didn't apply until the recruiter told me, okay, I know that I want you. You just go make sure to apply and put it in and let me know when you do so I can see it on my end. So I don't think that that's helpful. And Heather also raises a really good point. Third-party firms, you got to watch who you're applying to. Sometimes the reason why we have such problems with our resume and our LinkedIn profile, with our job applications, is because we keep applying to the wrong companies. I've always said in the past, when you are approached by a recruiter, make sure that you look at their email address. Is their email address reflecting an email address from the company or from some other organization that is not the company for which the job is being held? I'll also be aware of job postings that don't mention the company, okay? So I always go and do my homework on the company to figure out, okay, is this the company that the job is relevant to, or is this a recruiting firm? Because recruiting firms work a whole lot differently, and those third-party agencies they very rarely are good. In my experience, rarely good. Most of the time they're garbage. And so they are just casting a very wide net and just trying to schlep bodies in front of hiring managers as quickly as they can so that they can get the referral fee. So do pay attention to the job postings. Make sure to read them carefully. Make sure to understand all the different parts on there. But then also, as I said, you should make sure that you're not just applying to the front door. Like, yes, you're going to apply through the front door, but you should be talking to somebody on the side door, on the back door. Okay. And I personally would probably do a combination of both. There's some times where I'm just going to yeet the resume into the job portal, see what happens. And then there's other times for any company that I really want to work at and that I'm really interested in being employed, I'm going to connect to a person as quickly as possible. That's my goal. I want you to tell me no to my face. Don't just send me some robot email. Heather, regarding customizing resume, keep a universal one, but focus on 3 to 5 industries for each. I tailor the resume to address their pain points, highlight how my experience aligns with their environment, problems they have. Yeah, 100%. And one of the things that I talked about, Heather, in the video is, if you notice, I had 2 documents. There was one document that kept the skills list, it kept the job descriptions, and then it kept bullet points that I crafted based upon those things. And so I'll have a doc that has just a bunch of resume bullet points, and then I will make a resume out of those bullet points. And later in the video, I take the bullet points that I've already written and then just fit them into a template. So if you do it that way, then you can have a lot of really robust, you can have a library of really good resume bullet points, and then you can pick and choose the one that you want to put on a specific resume to send to a specific company. That's the way that I would do it. So it's not rewriting as much as it is copying and pasting into different things. If you're an engineer, you understand libraries, right? And so being able to have a library of resume bullets makes it easier for me to craft a customized resume by just copying and pasting into the final format. Abiodun, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Thank you so much for the feedback. I'm glad that you enjoyed the video. I wish that I could hear your voice. And I think at some point I'm gonna do a Twitter space where I can actually talk to y'all and y'all can tell me how to pronounce your name and all that stuff. I think that would be great. Okay, cool. So we talked about the fake job. So anyway, I think it's important for you to, again, start with a few job descriptions, make sure that you understand how those are working, and then go ahead and start thinking about how you're going to create a list of skills and how you're going to think about your resume after that. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. I'm trying to manage a bunch of stuff at the same time. Okay. Let me play another clip here. Oh, so I never actually talked about the process. Read, reflect, write. Read, reflect, write. Read the job descriptions. Think about how your experience demonstrates your ability to do the job, right? Think about your impact. That's what the reflection is for. You actually need to sit and think about and be honest with yourself. Have I done what this company is asking me to do? Do I have any gaps I need to fill? So when I say reflect, I really do mean be thoughtful about that. Take the time, sip your tea, figure it out. So read, reflect, and then write. Okay. And the writing will not be that difficult. I think even if you pay a resume writer, you're going to have to do steps 1 and 2. You're going to have to read the job descriptions. You're going to have to reflect on your own experience because they're going to ask you all the same questions that you have to ask yourself anyway. Where have you demonstrated these abilities? Where have you generated impact? What's your data? What's your impact numbers? Because they can't write your resume out of thin air. They just can't. And this is one of the reasons why I don't even mess around with resume writing. I don't do resume writing. I could do it. I could offer that as a service, but most people just don't even have the beginning information to even get started. Janayat Iqbal, nodegree.com. What's his website? nodegree.com. He's a great resume writer. He knows how to work with folks like y'all that don't know what you're doing. I'm not the one. You got to do some work before you talk to me. But anyway, that's that. Hopefully it's a useful process. And one question that I assume the answer to that we haven't talked about is like, should you write your resume? Should you be responsible for writing your own resume? I think that everyone should try to write their own resume at least once. That's my view. I think that you should write your own resume from scratch using the principles in the video. And if you do all that and it still looks terrible after you get some feedback, then sure, maybe go hire a resume writer. But before I would hire a resume writer, I would want to make sure that I apply my best effort to understand the process first, because there are folks who will just take your money and leave you holding the bag. And I think it's better when you have your own experience as opposed to just relying on somebody else to figure stuff out. There are no shortcuts. There just are no shortcuts. So if you were looking for one, too bad. They don't exist. You got to put in the work. Okay. let's see what else I want to pull out here. Again, thank you all for kicking it with me. I don't take for granted the fact that you're with me on a Thursday night talking about resumes, but you know, this is what we're doing, and I am glad that you're with me. In the video, I talk a lot about observations that I make in the job descriptions. And again, I said earlier that I have an article where I talk about how to read job descriptions. I don't want to go through all that again on this on this live stream. If you want to know how to read job descriptions or how I recommend that you read job descriptions, visit amaze.me/job descriptions, and I've got an article just for you there, so you can read that, understand it, take the time. It is a sacrifice, but it's an important one to help you understand what the market is looking for. So go read your job descriptions and analyze them. I recommend actually printing out your printing out the job descriptions and using highlighters. I took the highlighters home. Use the highlighters to mark up different words and phrases that are meaningful and to categorize them into your soft skills, technical skills, and then project abilities or product qualities. Sorry, not project abilities, product abilities or product qualities. You want to figure out all those things, and then you want to be conversant about how you demonstrate the ability to work with those skills and use them in real life. Okay, so go read job descriptions and know what to do there. Now, some of you, of course, are going to ignore my advice. You're just going to be like, let ChatGPT do it for me. And in the video, I talk about why you don't want to do that. You don't want to just go to ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or Claude and just throw the job description in there and make it do the work for you. Because at the end of the day, you won't be able to reflect well on how your skills, and you know, let me just qualify that a little bit. Some of you have the experience. You can quickly scan through a job description to understand really what they're talking about. I feel like I can do that as someone who's been in the industry for a long time. I can read a job description, I can spot the keywords pretty quickly and throw it in there. And so I feel like I have a decent understanding of the soft skills and technical skills that are required to do the job well. So it's not going to take me as long to generate that skills list as it might take you if you haven't gone through the exercise before, especially if you're more junior in your career. So, you know, maybe some of you are going to get to, you know, using an LLM or ChatGPT or something like that a little bit faster than other folks because you have more of the context and you're not robbing yourself. But either way, I don't recommend that you just go straight to ChatGPT and upload job descriptions and make it do the thing for you, because number one, it can't. Number two, it will lie. And then number three, you won't be in the right mental space to do the reflection and writing later on. But when it comes time to do it, here's how you would. So let's take a look at a clip from the video.
Writing a resume involves three very important and crucial steps. Okay, I've taken some time to write down the soft skills, technical skills, and then product qualities that I talked about earlier. I want to take the job descriptions just as they are, and I want to ask ChatGPT to generate this same list and see what it comes up with. I'm here on ChatGPT. Let's figure this out. Okay, so here's the prompt that I have. Derive a list of keywords and phrases that would be good to include on my resume. The keywords should be grouped into three categories: soft skills, technical skills, and product qualities. Please sort the list of keywords according to the frequency of appearance across job descriptions. Here are the job descriptions to consider, and then I've pasted the job descriptions just right into the prompt. So let's see what it comes up with. I like the ChatGPT list, so I'm actually going to keep a reference to that in the same document just so I can have it handy.
All right. So, yeah, I'm all for using AI. Have no problem with it. It's a great tool. Using it as a replacement, we've already talked about, is a bad deal. But because I have context around like how to write a good resume and all that stuff, it was very helpful in helping me to use AI in the right way. And so I talked about when I was coming up with this prompt, the importance of like thinking through, okay, I want a list of, I need a list of these skills grouped in these ways and sorted in a certain order. Okay, because I talk about the importance of repetition in a job description. When you see words or phrases that are repeated often, that's a signal of their importance or their relative importance compared to other things that are on the job description. And so if the job description talks about a specific framework a lot, right, and the job title says React developer, you're gonna have a bad time if you don't talk about your experience with React, because that ranks highly on that job description. There are other job descriptions that may not mention anything about that framework, or may not mention anything about a particular skill, or may not mention anything about a particular tool, right? So you don't want to hunker down on the things that the company doesn't care about, and the job description is the way that the company signals to you what they care about. So think about that, meditate on that, and then as you are using these AI tools, use those tools with knowledge. Okay, Heather, thank you. I appreciate it. Somebody noticed how next level this is. I was, I enjoy the stuff that I put together personally. There's a creative exercise to this as well as a technical exercise, and I love that as an engineer, I can apply my engineering mind, but then also my creative mind to putting this stuff together. Like I said, it's a labor of love for me. I love what I do, and I love providing value to you. So thanks so much about that. And so maybe I'll put a video together where I'll talk about the tips and tricks of how I do this, because I want other people to be able to produce high quality tech educational content out there. I don't want to be the only one. And I think that what's helpful is when we're sharing, not just hoard stuff to ourselves. So, again, I've given you in the video a prompt that you can use to help do that analysis. There's other kinds of prompts that you can write. One strategy that you should use when using AI tools, by the way, is ask the LLM to teach you how to ask it for information. So one thing that I could have done is said, hey, I need to analyze job descriptions. As someone who doesn't know how to write resumes well or whatever, pretend that you're a tech recruiter or something like that. Teach me what kinds of prompts I should use to get you to analyze job descriptions. Like, I'm totally butchering this. I'm just coming with this off the dome piece. My point is, ask ChatGPT to help you craft the prompts to get the information that you want, okay? Because it can help articulate some things in a way that will empower you to get the answers that you're looking for. So I didn't talk about that in the video, but I think it's something that you can try, not just for resume prep, but for other kinds of things too, okay? Again, I want to stay in my lane and focus on, like, there's plenty of YouTubers out there that I watch that teach video production and editing and music and all this other kind of stuff. And so I want to recognize that I'm in a specific lane, but I feel like, yeah, maybe it would be good to do that. Matter of fact, let me not get ahead of myself. I do have a video coming that's going to talk about some stuff, and that I think will be helpful. Okay, so again, use AI, use tools. Not every tool needs to be an AI tool. I think sometimes we forget that there's already a market of tools out there that don't even rely on LLMs in order to work well. So one of the assumptions that I would challenge is that everybody's getting auto-rejected because of AI reading resumes. No, I think that a lot of ATS systems are dumb. I think that a lot of ATS systems are built on a series of if conditions and basic checks that are very rudimentary. I think that AI is coming, and I think that AI will help. I think that when AI is really incorporated into the recruiter workflow and into the hiring workflow, that it will be a net positive for everybody involved, both for the candidates and for companies. But I don't think that the systems are that smart yet. I think they're just using very simple heuristics. And so you don't need a lot of complicated tools or AI in order to craft a resume that's going to get the right kind of attention. And again, it just goes back to the point that AI is just a tool, right? It's not doing the work. Wayne, you ask, how long should the resume be? Generally speaking, if you have like less than 5 years of experience, keep it to 1 page. More than 5 years, it's fine if you start going into the second page. I personally wouldn't make it more than 2 pages because no one's really going to read beyond that second page. And again, we're talking about resumes in America for American companies. In Europe, in some places in Europe, they actually have the concept of CVs, which include everything since you were born and can be multiple pages. Or if you're working in the academic world, yeah, multi-page CVs, that makes sense, that's a thing. When we're talking about American companies in this context, 1 or 2 pages, not more than 2 pages for sure. Because if you haven't done your first page well, it's just gonna get dismissed. Most recruiters, as I mentioned in the video, most resume readers are only looking at your resume for 6 to 7 seconds. If they like what they see after 7 seconds, they may spend more time reading it and giving you another 15 minutes or 15 seconds. Again, all seconds, not minutes. But if they don't like what they see, they're just gonna dismiss it. But the second reason why I recommend that you try to keep it as close to 1 page as possible is because it really forces you to keep the junk out, to keep the crap out. You don't need to talk about everything that you've ever done. Your resume is not an autobiography, it's a memoir. An autobiography focuses on like everything that you've ever done. It talks about childhood through the teenage years to adult years, yada, yada, yada. Okay, it's not a biography, it's a memoir. Okay, which means that you need to be focused on telling one story, and that story is how you became the perfect person for the job, right? That's the only story that you need to be talking about. And so keeping it short, keeping it condensed, keeping it to 1 page is gonna help you, not hurt you. Because it's gonna make sure that you have nothing but banging stuff all throughout. Okay, so remember, just because you cut something off of your resume doesn't mean that you've cut it from your soul. Just because you don't put it on your resume, that doesn't make you any less of a person or a professional. It just means that you are more focused on demonstrating the value that's going to be applicable to the organization for which you're applying. Okay, so sometimes we can take the resume too personally. It's not about you, it's about the person who's reading it's about the customer who wants to take advantage of your services. People don't care about you as much as they care about what you can do for them. And the focus of your resume should be demonstrating what you can do for them as succinctly and cleanly as possible. All right, let's move on to the next clip.
Okay, so I finished making some initial notes and just jotting down things as it comes to memory. I've organized my experience in a couple of different ways. So first things first, I've started just by grouping things by company. And then within each company, I think about the projects that I've done. What were the qualities that I wanted to reflect? Then what were the metrics? So under qualities, I'm thinking about those technical skills, the soft skills, and the productilities, and just trying to think of where do they fall within my experience.
Okay, so when you get actually, there's another clip that I meant to play before this, but yeah, I really should play that first. So we'll talk about organizing your data, but first let's talk about where to get the data.
Now it's time to reflect. I want to carefully examine my work experience and find areas of impact that reflect how well I've demonstrated the skills and abilities highlighted in the job descriptions. Now there's 2 kinds of impact that I want to focus on. First, I look for direct impact related to making money, saving time, or driving efficiency. But in cases where I can't tie my impact to one of those things, then I will look for indirect impact, where maybe I did something that led to any positive result, even if it didn't directly make money or save time for the organization. Honestly, this is the hardest part of writing a resume. That's because unless you spent time updating your resume well before you needed it, you're probably trying to collect data well after your accomplishments. That's why you should always document your accomplishments and keep your resume updated, especially when you're not looking for a job. So where do you find these impact numbers? Here are some sources I recommend. First, there are external sources. That includes press releases, blogs, and news articles. You can check product brochures if you worked on a public-facing product. The social media profiles and resumes of your coworkers can also be a great place to snag some data. If your company has quarterly earnings calls, you should be listening to those and just getting an idea of what they're talking about. Also, for publicly traded companies, review the company's 10K filing. They've got to do it every year, and you can gain some very useful information. Last but not least, don't forget to use LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini to aid in your research. For internal sources, your manager or your coworkers are going to be helpful there. If you have a product manager, you can also ask them questions. If your organization has all hands meetings, you should definitely attend those, be ready to ask questions and to think through the impact of your organization. And then last but not least, analytic dashboards. A quick note on consulting internal sources. You should always assume that any data that you work with internally is confidential and proprietary. You must ask permission if you want to use certain metrics on your resume, or at least obscure them in such a way that they don't reveal any confidential information.
Okay, so when you are done doing your research, you're going to go into the reflect phase. So step 1 is read, step 2 is reflect, and then last is write. When we talk about reflection, this is really where I'm asking you to do research on yourself. So you're going to do research on the company in the read phase, where you're looking at companies and reading what they want from the job description, but then you're going to study yourself. And it's really a data-driven exercise. You need to go collect as many numbers as possible. Many times when I'm reading a resume, I can immediately tell whether it's a good or bad one by how many numbers are there. If I see a lot of numbers on your resume, that's a good indication that you've got a strong resume. Most people don't. Most people have terrible resumes because they don't have data that provides receipts that validate what they are saying. So, you've got to figure out what those numbers are. And if you got laid off before you could get the numbers, you're in trouble, right? Because you probably can't get anything internally. You've got to only rely on external resources. So the best thing that you should do if you still have a job is to make sure that you document your accomplishments, document your numbers, keep them in a safe place, but start thinking about how you would articulate that on your resume. The other thing about thinking about impact and those measurable impact numbers is that before I even start a project, or even before I start an engagement, I ask myself, how do I want this to reflect on my resume? And if I think about that even before I start the work, then I can start engineering opportunities for me to collect the data that I need. If you are waiting till the project is done, until you've left the company, again, it's gonna be too late. If you've built great relationships, you might be able to call folks up and ask them about those numbers after the fact. But you gotta do the work, right? You gotta do the work. You have to, while you don't need a job, do the work to keep your resume updated and keep track of those numbers. So I talk about impact a lot throughout the video. Like, I just feel like I've said it ad nauseum. I'm getting sick of hearing the word impact. And you got to have the metrics. Abiodun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't even know why I tried to pronounce it twice, but I did it. So hopefully, I look forward to speaking with you as well on X when I have that thing. Y'all give me some feedback. Is this still valuable to you? We've been in for a little while, and I want to make sure that I'm delivering value and not just wasting time here. If you got questions, let me know. Let's talk about it. If you got feedback, by all means, provide that. So you gotta figure out where you're finding information. Again, one of the reasons why AI can be useful is because it can help you in that research part. You can say, hey, I worked on this particular role for this company. Is there data that you can find publicly available that would help me speak to my accomplishments? Is another prompt that you could use. Product brochure is the thing I talked about. I won't regurgitate the list again. I want you to study that and think about where you can get that information. I'll repeat the same warning now that I repeated in the video, which is be careful when you're working with internal sources. I don't want y'all to get fired because you were trying to get data to update your resume and leaked stuff. Don't do that. That would be bad. You should make sure that you're clearing any numbers that you get internally, or as I said, obfuscate them so that it's not readily apparent what the absolute numbers are. So maybe I can't say I did a $10 million deal, but I can say it was, among the top 3 revenue generating projects for the company, right? I might be able to say something like that. So do be very careful to collect and share data in a way that is consistent with the policies of the company and just what's ethical and fair. Okay, do that. I don't want y'all getting busted. That all being said, you should have numbers. You should have different types of numbers. I talked about multipliers, percentages, absolute numbers, rankings are useful. I talked about the fact that 0 can be an important number. If we're talking about 0 downtime, if we're talking about reliability, if we're talking about 0 bugs or 0 issues, 0 is a great number. And so there are different kinds of numbers that you can use. There's time scales. Did you do something in 2 weeks that took a month? All of that. So it's not just the number, it's the context. And so that's why I talk about impact. They're impact numbers, not just numbers. So don't just talk in numbers, talk in concept. Now I'm trying to remember, I was on The Hunt on X. So on X, on Twitter, there's a community called The Hunt, and they're great. Netta is who's on this live stream earlier, is one of the leads for that, as well as Sean Charles, or Sean Basquiat is his Twitter handle. I enjoy participating as part of that community. I know Heather is also part of that community, and some others tune in. Anyway, we were doing LinkedIn reviews, and somebody talked about, I remember they were a virtual assistant, virtual admin, and they were saying that their title is, their selling point was I save you 40 hours of work. And when I heard that, it's okay, great, you save 40 hours of work. Is that 40 hours a week? Is that 40 hours a month? Are you saying that I can just give you my work and you'll do it? Right? If I'm working a 40 hour a week and you save me 40 hours of effort, does that mean I don't have to work this week? Right? So talking intelligently about the numbers matters. And this is where having someone review your resume can be helpful, right? Because maybe they can point out things and help to address questions that a recruiter isn't going to ask. Because if it doesn't make sense to the recruiter, or if it doesn't make sense to the resume reader, they're not going to reach out to you, right? They're busy. They're probably just going to send you, press the reject button and then move on. So be very careful to obtain the right numbers, vet them, and then talk about them in a way that serves you. Advice on graphics and fonts. My only advice on the format of the resume is go use a template. Just go use a simple template. When you look at the video, there's a template that I recommended from a young lady by the name of Tanika Askew. She's on Twitter. If you go to the video description, I link her account and the tweet where she talks about the resume template. I used her resume template. You don't need to be a UX expert to make a really good resume. You don't need a graphic designer. You don't need Canva. Just use a very simple template that gets right to the information and minimizes vertical white space or horizontal white space or any kind of white space. You don't want big holes of empty space on a resume. You want that filled with data and information and impact numbers that help you to make your point. Okay, so that's the goal. So generally avoid graphics. Don't put your picture on your resume. You don't need icons. You don't need bar charts. You don't need spark lines. You don't need cartoons. You don't need animations. Just the information and the data, okay, is the general guideline. If you're applying for a job at an art house and they are super into those unique, weird, artistic resumes, then by all means, knock yourself out. But for 99% of us, especially those of us who are in tech, that's not our situation. okay? If the reader ever sees your actual resume anyway. Because I think you might assume that a human being is actually going to look at the resume that you submitted, when in reality, they're just going to look at what you took from your resume and copied into some other text fields, okay? Because again, people are generally bad at writing resumes, and so recruiters have figured out like, yeah, we're just going to take all the information, rip it out, put it into a standard format, and then just read it that way. That way our lives are easier, okay? So that's the goal. And hey, Times New Roman still works. Arial still works, you know. Courier, maybe I wouldn't recommend Courier. Depends on the one, I guess. Okay, have I beat this point dead? I think I have. Actually, let's roll the clip where I talk about
Here's that resume template that I mentioned. As you can see, it's very, very simple. Just name, contact information. You can see all the sections that we talked about earlier. They're all here. There's even some instructions on how to use some AI prompts to fill in the information. I don't want to do that, not me personally. Something you may choose to do, but I prefer to be much more hands-on with my resume so that I know what I'm speaking to and can stand by every single word. One thing I really like about this template is that it minimizes vertical white space. So you don't want a lot of white space on your resume because that's space that actual information could go into. So I can pack a lot of information in here without needing to use a bunch of pages.
Sometimes I like to jam out to the music. I take the music very seriously. I don't know why I spend so much time on the YouTube videos getting the music together. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I do. I think it's because I'm a musician, and I just like, you know, getting the mood right. That's just a thing. And hopefully I did turn off the background. I think I turned off the background music for this thing. Let me make absolutely sure, because I didn't. Oh, is the background music still playing? I bet it is. Dude, this whole time I didn't even realize that. Why didn't y'all tell me? Okay, well, at any rate, I love music. Music helps me think, and so anytime you rock with me, I'm probably going to be playing some music in the background. But anyway, yeah, when it comes to, if you're spending most of your time on the resume format and structure, you're doing it wrong. You should be spending very little time on the resume format and structure and more time on the actual words that go on your resume. So make sure that you provide that, make sure that you prioritize that and prioritize getting the data and articulating the points that you need to put on your resume. Okay. Good evening, good music. Y'all let me know if I need to put the background music back on. Like, I'm more than happy to do that. Okay. So Michael, you say, okay, well, maybe I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back a little bit later. Yeah, I'm starting to get tired too. And it's getting warm in here, which that's a whole other thing. Again, as I mentioned before, if you keep your resume bullets in a separate doc from your actual resume, then it makes it easier for you to copy those bullets into new versions of your resume. Okay, so the downside of this approach is you may be applying to 10 companies and sending out, 5 different versions of your resume. Okay, and so you're going to have to get savvy about how you organize that information and how you keep track of, where which companies you're sending your resumes to. The tool that I mentioned in the video, SkillSyncer, has a job tracker that helps you to manage where you are in the pipeline with any number of applications. So you might choose to use a tool like that. I subscribe to Notion, so I use Notion as a tool for my professional work and for my business. That can be a great way for you to organize it, and so you can build a database or a table of different job openings. They probably already have a template that has a job tracker and all that. You can use something like that. You can use SkillSyncer. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you organize your job search well, organize the information, make sure that it makes sense in your mind, and then it makes it easier for you to engage and get the right context. So Me personally, I want to be able to have something that I can go to and quickly review before, say, I reach out to a recruiter. Okay. I noticed that this recruiter is active on LinkedIn. I want to send a DM. I want to respond to their comment. Let me figure out like what they care about, what was in the job description, what was the job number, what version of the resume did I send in, and then reach out to that recruiter and have a conversation, or reach out to the hiring manager and just have what I need. Okay. So that's what I recommend that you do. And the video goes to great lengths to show you how I would do that for myself. One thing that I want to do real quick, well, now I'll do it a little bit later. I'll show you the resume that I put up. If you want to see the actual resume that I wrote, the full thing, because I didn't show the full resume in the video. But if you want to see that, just go to anthonydmays.com/resume. You can see where it is right there. I left some information off, obviously, because I don't want everybody to know where I live. But the resume is there and available. So you can see the resume that I generated as I was, well, not generated, but the resume that I wrote. So you can check that out and review it. Let me know, do you think that I got something wrong on my resume? Did I mess something up? Is it a resume that you would find appealing if you're a hiring manager or recruiter? I would love to know if it hits the right notes. If you think I messed something up, by all means, you let me know. Okay, cool. So that's just a little bit about resume templates. Don't spend, the point is, don't spend your time reinventing the wheel. Go use a template that somebody's already made, copy the bullet points into that, and then you're good to go. Okay, don't spend your time there. Let's talk about the professional summary, because this is something that I don't think that there's a lot of great guidance around how to put together a professional summary. Many people would probably see the professional summary as a waste of time because, again, we all do a terrible job of writing a summary. So I want to show you how I would use AI tools to make that process a lot easier for you and produce a better result for your reader. So let's check that out.
One more thing that I want to show you. I've asked ChatGPT to write a 2 to 3 sentence professional summary based on my resume. I could, of course, handcraft a professional summary, but I feel like this is one of the excellent uses for AI and LLMs in terms of resume preparation. Remember, we write the professional summary after we've written the resume. That way it truly summarizes the things that we're going to talk about in our professional experience. So looking at this professional summary, it's not too bad. It obviously needs some cleanup. I can remove my name and some of these other details that aren't as relevant. I'm gonna tighten this up a bit to about 2 sentences and try to remove as much of the fluff as I can so that I can get down to something that's really lean and useful. I like this professional summary better, more tight-knit, more succinct, does what I needed to do, truly summarizes, and without too much fluff. So yeah, it's not bad. I think we're ready to roll.
All right, so yeah, I personally like including a professional summary because even though I don't strictly need it, it's an opportunity for me to start shaping the narrative that I want to convey in the resume from the very beginning. Every single bullet point of your resume is part of a larger narrative that should tell the story about how you are the best person for the role. So what helps is if you can give that summarization up front. What many of you do is you go write this fluff piece, and then I look at your professional experience and you haven't backed up anything. Okay, your mouth has written a check that your butt can't cash. Okay, you're like, oh, I'm excellent problem solver. Where did I see problem solving in your experience? Some of y'all have the nerve to say that you're a data-driven professional and don't have no data in your resume. How does that work? I mean, y'all tell me, data-driven professional, but you can't give me one impact metric that talks about how effective you are at your job. You kidding me? That's not how the professional summary works, right? So first things first is you should write your professional summary after you have read your whole resume and summarized what it says. So if you're customizing your resume, if you're customizing the bullets of your resume, guess what should probably change? Your professional summary. Okay, now, as I mentioned in the video, an excellent use for AI is making it like read it and objectively summarize that information. This is one of those things that AI is really, really good at, that LLMs are really, really good at. And so just give it your resume and say, hey, you summarize this. If you don't like what it says, guess what? You probably don't have that good of a resume, right? So, if you get crickets from the LLM, could mean you don't have a good resume. So use AI to generate that first draft. Do not just take what it says and paste it onto your resume. That would be a terrible mistake. You can either refine your prompt in AI to get it better, or just take over the steering wheel and do it yourself. Okay. Again, if you don't know how to articulate your own value, if you don't know how to communicate that, then you have bigger problems in your resume. Period. So, and again, that's the thing, right? Like when you don't know how to articulate your value, how do you expect anybody else to? How do you expect an LLM to? LLM is still dumb. It's artificial intelligence. That doesn't mean that it's smarter than you or even as smart as you. So, right, you have to learn how to articulate your value. That's the part that you have to get trained in. That's the part where you need advice and feedback from people who can help inform you of the value that you bring to the table. And then you need to listen to them, right? That's how this works. So do your part to at least try to articulate your value and then get feedback and improve in that area. Rena, you say this, and hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Do you have advice for someone who's looking for an entry-level position and want higher response interview rates from the hiring team? What can make my resume stand out when I don't have a lot of experience? So a couple of things here. First things first is I think if you want better responses from a hiring team, you need to be talking to the hiring team directly. You should, and let me also talk about what I mean by response, right? You could mean, can I just get any answer from the hiring team? Yes or no. I think personally, there's two kinds of responses I'm looking for. I'm either looking for, yes, we're interested in you, let's get you into the interview process, or no, not right now, and here's why. The last thing that I want is just a form rejection, a canned message. I don't want that. If I get it, it's still a response, but I would rather learn from the experience. So I want to know why. And one of the things that I'll try to do if I can, it's easier for me to ask that question when I'm talking to someone who has a name and a picture and whatnot. So I think the first thing is that when you are applying through the front door, you're not interacting with the hiring team. Probably you're interacting with a recruiter or with an ATS system. So if you want more responses from the hiring team, you need to talk to somebody on the hiring team or somebody at the company who can represent the hiring team. That's the first thing. Second thing is, what can you do to make your resume stand out? I think this is where your projects section is going to be hugely valuable because maybe you don't have the professional experience, but you can always make your own project experience anytime you want. You can go make an app or demonstrate your use of some technology and put that up on GitHub or publish it on Vercel or get it up on a website and use that in an interesting way. For me, one of the things I get most excited about when I read a resume is the project section, because not only does it represent your skills, but it also represents choices about what you find interesting or important. So the kinds of projects that you choose to showcase tell me something about who you are. So I think that you can, for instance, I use the example of like, I'm pretty weak in AI. I know how to use the tools and I have a working knowledge of LLMs and this and that and the other. And I've even dabbled with AI APIs, like the OpenAI API. I've worked with that before, and et cetera, et cetera. But maybe somebody wants me to be stronger in that, or they want me to understand more of the underlying machine learning techniques. The project section would be a great way for me, even 23 years into my career, to demonstrate my ability to learn new skills that I haven't used in a professional environment. So I think using the project section of your resume is a great way to help you stand out. Okay, that would be my recommendation to you. As I've always said, if you don't have experience, make experience. Okay, don't be passive. Be active in filling your skills, filling your gaps and addressing any points of concern that a company may have with your abilities to do the job. All right, hopefully that was helpful, Rena. I trust that that will be useful to you in your search. So again, if I were to summarize, two things. One is make sure that you are actually contacting and talking to real people and not just applying through a portal. And the second thing is use your project section to stand out if you don't have a lot of experience. Cool. Another happy customer. Appreciate you, Rena. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, I got one more clip to show, and then after that, maybe I can review a resume if you've got one available. If you've got a link to it or something like that, I'd be more than happy to quickly check that out. Otherwise, we'll start wrapping this thing up. Okay. What do I want to talk about?
All right, now let's run it through SkillSyncer and see how I do. Using the tool is pretty easy. You just put in the company name. We'll go with Amazon since I happen to be applying for that one, and senior software engineer. All right, so I'm pasting the job description now. And one of the things that's interesting about using SkillSyncer and something that I've noticed is that I need to be careful to include only the parts of the job description that are relevant for the assessment that I want. So I want to specifically measure up against the description of the role, basic qualifications, preferred qualifications, any educational requirements, all of that stuff. Now I want to include my resume. And in this case, I'm just gonna paste the text right in. All right, here we go. All right, not too bad. I've got a score of 62. It recommends that I have a score of 80, so I'm not too far off from this particular position. I can obviously go and add some of the things that are missing, but one.
Okay, I meant to introduce that clip before I just pressed the button. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm trying to get better at this. This is a new element for me. But yeah, one of the tools that I talk about in the video and promote, and by the way, I was not sponsored by SkillSyncer to feature the tool in the video. It's just a tool that I've used in my own experience. I've used it when assessing the job descriptions for other clients or resumes of other clients. SkillSyncer is a great tool for helping you to understand how well your resume matches a particular job description. So, validation is an important part of the process, and that maybe could have been the fourth step. So like, read, reflect, write, validate would break the alliteration I was trying to go for there, but I'll play around with that later. It's important for you to validate that you've done the right thing for your resume. One way that you can do that is using tools. The second way that you can do that is by actually applying for roles to see how often people get back to you. And then of course there's the feedback from individuals who you work with. So, but as an engineer, I use unit tests, I use integration tests, I use analytics to confirm that what I built is actually solving the problem that it intended to solve. As a product manager, I'm going to be looking at analytics to understand whether a feature is actually a value add or if there's pain points in the system. As a CEO, I'm going to look at the stock price and I'm going to look at the press and what folks are saying about my company to get a sense for how well the company is going in the direction that we need to go in, and looking at forward-looking things like that. So validation and confirmation is a very important part of what we do as professionals. And the same thing is true of the resume. You want to make sure that when you're putting things together, that you've got some data that helps inform whether you're going in the right direction or if you need to do some fine tuning. So SkillSyncer is a great tool, big fan of it. I'll throw a banner here, SkillSyncer, syncer.com. Yeah, so the tool is called SkillSyncer. You can go there and check it out. You'll upload a job description and your resume, and that will help you to get a sense for how well you match. They give you a score. I don't know what the score means. It's kind of opaque. My guess is that the score basically figures out how close, how often the words in your resume match the words in the job description. That would be my basic guess for how that tool works, but I don't actually know, and you don't need to know. the tool recommends that you're about an 80% match, which you can work that out yourself if you were doing that by maybe taking your skills list that you developed in the first step after reading some job descriptions, then look at your resume. How many of the skills do you actually mention? Okay, how close are you? How many? Or another way that you can do it is look at a job description and look at like the required and professional qualifications and just check off the ones that you think that you meet based upon your resume. So look at the job descriptions through the lens of your resume, right? Does my resume address this bullet point? Yes or no? Does my resume address this other bullet point of the job description? Yes or no? And then by then you can figure out, okay, well, I'm about 75% of the way there. Because I don't think SkillSyncer is using like AI straight up to work. I think it's using a very simple heuristic, which means that you need to give it a little bit of help in order to get the result that you want. And with even with AI, you got to give it help, right? It's not going to just read your mind and figure things out. So you've got to give it input, and you've got to be careful about the information that you reveal or don't reveal. So in SkillSyncer, you want to take out irrelevant information, like you don't need your name and contact information in there. You don't need, like your award section to be assessed per se, if you had an award section. And then in the job description, the job description is gonna have information that isn't relevant maybe to the skills and qualification for the role, right? And so, I think there's a job description that had something like about the company, and it just lists general information about the company. I'm not being assessed by what the whole company is doing. I'm being assessed maybe by what the team is doing. And so I may take out the about the company section from the job description. The point is that you should make sure that you are very thoughtful about the data that you plug into the tool if you want to get a good result, okay? Because it might say that you're a 60 when in reality you're a 75 because it thought that there were things in the job description that were relevant that really weren't because you didn't take it out first, okay? So that's how you use SkillSyncer correctly. Anubal, you ask, what kind of metrics do you tend to see or look for in the project section? At this point, I look for any metrics in the project section. I really do. I look for any, and usually there aren't any. So things like number of users or performance increase, like a percentage of performance increase, or even, were you able to make some side money off of this, right? So did you put something on the App Store or build a service on the website and get money? Once you start making money from that, then you can probably put it under professional experience, right? Make an LLC or a company of some kind. You worked for yourself as an entrepreneur. Now that's professional experience. And on my resume, the experience that I have through the Morgan Latimer consulting firm that I have, that's professional experience. I've been paid by clients to do tangible and real work and professional work. So that's not a project, that's professional experience. But if you've got a side project and maybe you've just earned some change from that, yeah, put how much money you made off of it. Those are the kinds of numbers that's useful. Again, the thing that I talk about in the video is there's 4 things that organizations care about. Making money, saving time, and driving efficiency. And these things, of course, are related. Making money, saving time, driving efficiency. So if your projects can demonstrate your ability to do one of those 4 things, then you should do that, okay? You should definitely do that. So don't treat your project section any differently than your professional experience. Just know that, so even before you pick a project, figure out, okay, well, what kind of numbers can I track? Can I put this up on a website and then use Google Analytics to figure out the number of users that are visiting on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, okay? Go talk to a product manager. Some of you should be talking to a product manager and asking them like, hey, how do you assess the health of a product? What kind of numbers do you look for when you're doing product analytics? And then what you can do is you can use that learning to then go look at your project and figure out, okay, well, how can I go track the same kinds of things? All right. So that's my recommendation for you. As technologists, we need to be product minded. As technologists, we need to be UX focused. As technologists, We need to be thinking about QA and quality. So I think, as an engineer speaking to other engineers, other technologists, we can put ourselves into this box where we just want to focus on our technical skills at the expense of thinking about the other things that go into making a product a product. I've learned that as an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter how great a YouTube video I make. If I'm not marketing it, it's not going anywhere, right? I can buy the best camera, invest in the best graphics, the best lighting, the best props, all of that stuff. But if I'm not validating that what I'm talking about is meeting the needs of my users, or if I'm not marketing it, it goes nowhere. And I've learned as an entrepreneur the importance of bringing multiple skills together. And I think the resume is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate some of your own soft skills or to develop your soft skills, particularly in the area of communication, of being data-driven, and those kinds of things. Okay, so this is again why I believe that if you are bad at writing your resume, and more importantly, if you're bad at articulating your own value, you're probably bad in a lot of other areas that don't have to do with your resume. And I chose to start at the resume. Okay, that's where I chose to start. Okay, we have a customer. Let's go take a look at a resume real quick. It's going to be great. How do I get to it? So I'm going to post a link. Abiodun, I want to know if I can share this with the audience, because if I can, I would love to do that. And we can all take a look at it together. Let me just give it a quick look. Yeah, you got some information here. Maybe I don't show that. Yeah, let's take a quick look. Okay, well, actually, you did share it with the whole world, so maybe maybe I could screen share anyway. And I see, oh, okay, yeah, there's another resume here too. Okay, so let's talk about it real quick. Let me see if I can get this set up correctly. And I don't want no nonsense, y'all. I'm going to publicly review some resumes, and I don't want no nonsense. So do be careful. Okay. Sweet. I have permission to share it. Let's do this. Share screen. Okay. Actually, let me go turn that music back on too. All right, so we're looking at a resume, and I want y'all to review this resume with me. I want you to tell me basically what you're seeing. I'm going to, of course, provide my thoughts, but y'all have watched the video. You've been part of this discussion. Feel free to interact and let me know what you think about the resume. So first things first is, of course, there's the comments that are here. There's the format. I'm not a big fan of the format. And when I talk about white space, let me see if this will show up. In the upper right-hand corner here, there's a gap of white space there, and there's a gap of white space down below. So like 1/3 of the resume from the right edge is filled with blank space. And part of the reason why it is because these bullet points are very short. Okay? So contributed to the open source code base and developed free learning resources on HTML. We'll talk more about the bullets in a moment, but these bullet points could be meatier and more detailed, is my point. You can expound more on this information, okay? And so I want you to do that. Let's see what else is there here. Education section. So I would put your projects section above your education, because if your project section might have something that I care about, and I might bail before I get there because I might see your education section and decide that, hey, I'm done. So your project should be above your education section, but below your experience. Your technical skills, we talked about that. It can be at the bottom. I prefer that your technical skills are up at the top, because remember that I've got specific skills that I've got to be looking for, okay? And I need to see that you have those skills. And so if you don't have the skills that I'm looking for, why do I need to waste my time or your time, right? I can just tell you, oh, right, you don't have the skills. We'd like to go with a different candidate. So your technical skills should be at the top before your professional experience. But definitely, whether you choose to keep your skills at the bottom or to move at the top, your education definitely goes down at the bottom, unless you graduated recently. You graduated in November of 2023, so yeah, you're well outside of the window for having that there. So when I talk about putting together resume bullets, one thing that I talk about, well, sorry, before I go there, notice that because you have the job title, company, and dates, each on a new line, you have all of this space on the right-hand side that is empty, okay? So I would recommend that you put all of that stuff just on one line and have the date right aligned with the edge of the resume. If you don't understand what I just said, use a resume template. Just use a resume template and it'll fix that for you, okay? But even with a resume template, you still got to invest in making better bullets. I'm gonna pick on this bullet right here because it says that you contributed to the open source code base and developed free learning resources on HTML. You should have impact data here. How many people viewed or used these resources? Did you get any feedback around how good it was? Were these resources ranked in some kind of way? And can you say that it was the top resource or the second best resource or whatever it was? How many lines of code did you contribute, maybe, right? Or lines of text or paragraphs? There's a whole lot of numbers that you can have here that you just don't have. The one number that I'd be super interested in is how many people use this resource, okay? Are you getting 30 visitors a day, 100 visitors a day? You getting 1,000 visitors a month checking out that resource, right? You don't tell me any of that. Well, you did say that you authored 10 articles, but it's not clear to me that these articles were related to the open source code base, because typically we don't publish articles in open source code base. So, you have an impact number here, and that's useful, but what was the success of those articles? Those articles could have been terrible. Could be that nobody's reading. I don't know, because you haven't given me the impact data. It's impactful to write 10 technical articles, like that's true, but I need more detail around how useful the articles were, how well, like I have articles too, and I can tell you that not only do I have hundreds of people, who read that article on a weekly basis, but I also have money. Like I've made like $1,000 off of an article, right? And so I can talk about how I've generated articles that are revenue generating, right? That is the data that helps you to understand the effectiveness of what I'm writing, right? And its value to the community at large. Again, building an interactive web page with coding exercises using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This doesn't sound like professional experience. Because what value did this deliver to the OpenGenius Foundation, right? This just sounds like you were learning something on the job, which is fine, but nobody cares about you being able to learn on the job. They care about you being able to learn something on the job and then turning that into an actionable result that brings in money for the company or saves time or drives efficiency, right? So I don't think that bullet is really helping you at all. All right. So I have the same feedback for the whole resume, right? Like you need to be using the resume formula. And I talk about the resume's formula so much that I'm not going to talk about it here. Or, not more than just saying that, the resume formula is I accomplish X as measured by Y by doing Z. So tell me what you accomplished, tell me how you measure that accomplishment, and then last but not least, tell me how you did it. All right. So Thanks for being willing to let me review your resume publicly. I appreciate it. It takes courage. I hope that the feedback was useful and helpful to you. As I said, if you want to learn more about the resume formula, I'm going to put a link here with the article. I mean, obviously watch the video, but yes, the article is at amaze.me/garbage resume. So go check out that article, read through it, or you can watch the YouTube video that we've been talking about for the past hour and some change at amaze.me/resume-YouTube. Okay. So go watch that, go read the article, then get those resume bullets into the XYZ formula. I think that's going to help you out. All right. Got another resume up here. Ryan Wheeler. So good to, man, I've been on here that long that you was able to come back, huh? I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Yes, I'm doing some resume reviews. So if you want me to review your resume, if you want me to review your LinkedIn profile, you want me to review your GitHub, I'm happy to do that for the next little bit. Okay. I don't want to spend too much time doing it. And again, you know, if after this live stream you'd like for me to review your resume, or you want some career advice, I do offer a paid service that I make available. So you can go to anthonydmaze.com/links, and you can connect with those resources and figure out how to tap in with me. So you can book me at any time. I've got availability and all that stuff. Or you can just wait till I do the next live stream, which who knows when I'm going to do that, and try to shoot your shot then. All right. Okay, let's see. So yeah, Ryan, by all means, feel free to share your resume, and I'm happy to review it publicly, or hit me up on LinkedIn, Ryan. You're special, so we should just talk after this. Should jobs be in reverse order? So I'm a big fan. Yes, I didn't notice on the resume that the jobs were out of order. So you definitely want your most recent experience first, and then next most recent, and then next most recent after that. So the experience should be in order of most recent to least recent. Generally speaking, I think there can be reasons why you might put your experience out of order. There can be reasons, and the reason might be that maybe the last job isn't where you have the most relevant experience. And if that's you, then it's okay if you maybe list that position first. You know, I'm a big fan of going in descending order based upon recency, but it's not a hard rule. I think that you can present it out of order if you've got, so what I would do is if there's a job that you've done that's more relevant, but maybe it isn't the most recent, put that first, and then maybe put everything else in descending order, okay? So if I know that some people can be concerned about gaps in their resume. I don't think gaps are the big issue if you can talk through why the gap is there. But what's important is that for the experience you do have, that you represent it as best you possibly can, because then that makes the gap not an issue, okay? So I haven't worked as a professional software engineer technically since 2022, but I still have experience doing software engineering kinds of things and doing software engineering instruction during that 2-year period. So, you know, if you decide that you want to take a career break or take a hiatus, still be doing things by way of projects or teaching or writing that shows that you still got it, and that will help you out. All right, let's see. Let's check out another resume. And Newball, I'm gonna find your resume and put it up here. And then Ryan will do you last, I think. Where did it go? Shoot. Okay. Oh, okay. Your resume is in the LinkedIn profile. Okay, so Anubal, we're gonna look at your LinkedIn profile. That's how we'll do it. Sweet. Let's get it going. Thank y'all for tuning in with me. I appreciate it. Hopefully, again, you've enjoyed the video and you have found it to be useful and beneficial. and hopefully the discussion has given you some insight into what I was thinking when I put some things together and all that. Okay, here's the resume. Great. Let's dive into it. Let me zoom in. Okay, sweet. There we are. Get this all set up. Share screen. I think this is the window. Yep, here it is. All right, cool. So here's the other resume. I have a feeling that it is not going to share the right way that I want to. So sorry if you can't see it all the way clearly. Okay, cool. So here we are. I think this is still sharing. So you jump right into the professional experience. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's fine. Again, I still would recommend that the technical skills go up top. It looks like you have enough experience that having a professional summary would be useful for you. Font's kind of small, so if this were printed out, I think it'd probably be a struggle to read, but that's an issue that can be dealt with. Your experience is sorted correctly. I get that. I see the location is here as well. That can be useful if you're applying for roles that are either hybrid or fully in person. I like that you have the technologies here in each section of experience. One thing that I recommended in the resume is I recommended putting the technology at the end of the bullet point where it was used. So remember that in the XYZ formula, you're going to talk about what you accomplished as X, how you measure that, that's the Y, so the impact numbers go there, and then Z is how you did it. And so if you put Z at the end of your bullet, you can then, I put in parentheses, like here's the technologies that I used to make that happen. The benefit of that is that I can see how the technology was used within the context that it was mentioned, okay? So for instance, you talk about enhance the user interface, update and improve the UI of an internal application, resulting in a more user-friendly experience for internal stakeholders. Maybe you used Java for that and Spring Boot. If the user interface was in Java. If it was a web interface, then I would expect to see web technologies at the end of that bullet. But just saying that you use Java, I don't really know where that technology was applicable within the context of your experience. You don't have any numbers in these first few bullets, so you've made this qualifying statement. So you updated and improved the UI, resulting in a more user-friendly experience. How do I know that it was user-friendly? How do I know that you know that it was user-friendly? Did more users use it? Was there a survey? Did you have a NPS score? What, right? I don't know, because you didn't put a number there. Was it the most used user interface compared to your competitors? The second most used, right? I mean, there's a lot of data that's missing here. Did the number of visitors go from X to Y? Was there a 50% increase in visits? In let's say 30-day usage. That data isn't there. You developed some RESTful APIs. Great. Did it make money? Did it save money? Did it save time? Did it drive efficiency? I don't know. There's no numbers here. You diagnose and resolve production issues. Issues means at least 2. Okay. Did you just fix 2 bugs? Did you fix 100? Right? Why did you fix the issues? If you fixed an issue, maybe that now represents in time savings. Maybe the company was losing revenue because something wasn't being calculated right, and you fixed the bug, right? So you have all of this opportunity to give me numbers and data. When you say minimal downtime, what does that mean? As an engineer, I measure things in terms of nines, right? I measure availability in terms of nines. Was the system 4 nines stable? 5 nines? 6 nines? What? What was the uptime? So I'm missing that information, and those numbers that would be incredibly useful for me to understand the relative impact of your work. And when you don't give me any numbers, I'm just left to trust your word for it. And I don't trust you. Newsflash, I don't trust you because I don't know you. And you haven't given me any data that would lend to your credibility as an engineer. Now, your best bullet already, I decided some time ago, was this one. Streamline aircraft maintenance workflow, design and implement a unified workflow by integrating 3 process streams for internal aircraft maintenance systems, reducing operational delays by 15%. You should have said that first. Because I didn't care about anything else until you said, oh, you reduce operational delays by 15%. Like, there we go. Now I care. Okay. Also, I noticed that you have FedEx here, but also here too. You probably can just merge these sets of bullet points together. It's for the same company, both for a software engineering role. There's no need to split it out. Just put that together. But yeah, I mean, this bullet was pretty dry to me up until you said operational delays by 15%. Now I care. I buy into the order of I accomplished X as measured by Y, because I don't care how you did it until I understand what you did, right? And that's the thing that y'all have to lock in is the what you accomplished and how you measure that gets me to buy into the how. Okay, but if you don't give me the what and the why, I don't care about the how. That's just a waste of my time and yours, right? There's a lot of folks who are focused on how, but they're not talking about the what and why. And I think that you can fix that. So, you know, if the benefit that you have of merging these first 2 sections is that you can make that bullet point first, because it is your most impactful bullet point, period. So rework that one, make it your first bullet point, and then try to make 100 other bullet points that look exactly like that one. Everything else is just not useful. Your graduate studies aren't professional experience, so you should remove that. Put that into an education section or project section or something like that. But yeah, that's just you got a degree, I assume. Yeah, you got a degree, so that does not belong in your professional experience section. Teaching experience, that makes sense. You got numbers here, that's good. You were paid to be a teaching assistant, I assume, so that's useful. Increase code coverage by 40%. See, here's the problem. You've got these impact numbers down here, but by the time I get to your FedEx experience or past your FedEx experience, I'm probably already done, right? So I'm probably not reading your resume and making it that far down because already they're stronger candidates. So I suggest that you make those changes, rework things, use the resume formula, make more bullets like you have with the reducing operational delays by 50%, guiding 1,400 students, all that stuff. That you want those numbers front and center. You want them higher up on the page so that there's a greater chance that your reader's going to read it and take that into account before they bail. All right? Sweet. Oh, let's take a look at Ryan's, and I think after that I'm gonna bail. Yeah, because I wish that I could look at everybody's resumes and profiles, but I just don't have that kind of time today. I'm sorry. Next time, maybe I have a live stream where I just do that for the whole time and invite a panelist and folks up with me to review as well. That would be fun. I'd enjoy that. But today is not that day. Okay, Ryan, let's talk about it. Let's see if you have applied my wisdom. Give me a moment to pull this up. Come on. There it is. Been a good day, y'all. Today was a good day. Oh, Ryan, I don't have access to your resume. I don't have access. So I will give you a moment to grant me access. Actually, I will DM my email address to you. And then maybe you can grant me permission that way or just send it by email. I'll give you a couple of moments, and then after that, I gotta sign off. Okay, Ryan, check your DMs. All right, any other questions I can answer before I get to Ryan's resume? This has been incredible. I'm so grateful that you all tuned in. I didn't know, I came very close to just canceling it because I wasn't sure that anybody was going to show up. Again, I'm not the best marketer in the world. I'm not that great at marketing at all. And I was just really hoping that I was going to be able to serve you all and that you were going to be able to find value in this. And it looks like you have. So I appreciate the support. Again, I'm going to say this again. I want you to go check out the YouTube video. If you enjoy it, click the like button. If you didn't like it, feel free to just pass on it. You can even mark a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Like, any feedback is better than no feedback. But if you like the video, click the like button, subscribe, because I'm going to be producing a lot more content in 2025, and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you, and I want to be able to communicate with you right back. So that's the goal. Do I think that a specific font is best to get the attention, get people's attention on TV? It depends, right? As I talked about earlier in the stream, I'm not convinced that a lot of people are looking at your resume in the format that you send it, right? So, well, first things first, when you're sending your resume, almost always do it in PDF, unless you're asked to do it in a different format, and the different format probably would be a Word doc. So always send it as a PDF. That way you can preserve the formatting in the way that you intended for your reader to see it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, again, most companies are probably going to take the data in your resume and just reformat it to something else. So the chances of them actually seeing the pretty font that you chose, I don't think it's pretty high. I can't give you a specific number because I don't actually know, but I'm not convinced that a lot of people are actually looking at the resume that you send in. What they're probably doing are using tools that take the data and put it in some other format that makes it just more uniform for them. So I don't think that you need to get fancy with fonts at all. Use Times New Roman. Use Arial. Use just the basic stuff. Do not pay for a font. Don't spend that kind of time. I don't think it's worth it for you. Not in tech, not in the tech industry. It's just not going to be that beneficial, in my opinion. Again, if you use a resume template and you like the way it looks, use the fonts and structure that they have, and you will save yourself time and heartache. But yeah, I don't think that the format of your resume is going to make that much of a difference. Again, it's don't emphasize form over function. Okay. Let me see if I have access to this thing yet. Hey, here it is. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you. Let me get this out into a different thing. Okay, and make it safe so that I'm not exposing PII. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And let's share. By the way, if y'all like a resume, if you're a recruiter or a hiring manager and you like a resume that I've shown here, by all means, please reach out or let me know, and I can reach out because I want folks to win. It'd be great for someone to actually get a job from presenting themselves on this stream. Yeah, Daryl, I'm an old head myself. I started my career back in 2001, so you had to care about the paper that you use to print your resume. You had to care about a lot of stuff. Yeah, back in the days when we were working with paper resumes. One thing I was thinking about is like, okay, I put my name and all my contact information into the header of the document. That way it prints on every page, so that if somebody's holding my resume and they lose or misplace the first page, my information will still show up on the second page. But hey, who's printing resumes out and putting them on their desk anymore, right? So I have some old school habits that I bring into the present, and it's not bad, but yeah, some of the guidance that we have around resumes come from an older time when the world used to be more tactile. But I do miss good resume paper. I do. I probably would, if I had to go for an in-person resume, I would still print my resume on nice cardstock. I would, right? It's going to feel nice to the touch. It's going to look professional. It's going to make an impression. Okay, I do the same thing with my business cards. My business cards are well made, high quality. I make sure that when you touch one of my business cards, the quality comes through in all of the senses. Okay, so Ryan, you've got a career summary here. This looks like a skill section to me, combined with a professional summary. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. I'm just going to say that it's unconventional, right? So I think that maybe there's some benefit to having this the way that you have it. I think that this really is a skill section, and I think that you might benefit from having a professional summary, but maybe not. It's up to you. There's no hard and fast rule there. The other thing that I would say is it's hard for me to assess anybody's skill section without also looking at a job description, because you may have a great set of skills, but they only match 33% of the skills that are on the job description. But for another job, it may be a 70% match. So whatever you do in your skill section, this needs to be tailored for every job that you apply for, so that you are listing the skills that the company cares about. Very important that you do that. All right, so I just wanted to say that about the skills section. The one thing that's just a pet peeve of mine is that the dates are not right aligned, and so what you may have done is just made a bunch of spaces in between your title and the date to shift it to the right. I need y'all to learn what a right tab stop is. Right tab stop. Any modern word processor has right align tab stops that you can set that will make your information flush to that tab. So that way you can just tab into the right place, type the information, and it all lines up neatly. If you don't want to do that, then you can use tables. But tables are, just like with regular HTML programming, can make it harder to parse the data on your resume in the right way. So using tables might screw up how your resume gets interpreted by an ATS system or one of those application systems. So I don't really use tables anymore. I used to, but I think tabs will get it done. Again, if you get a resume template and it uses tables, by all means do that. You can find resume templates that are ATS friendly. So I would encourage you to, if you're going to use a resume template, use one that is ATS friendly, okay? Because those are designed to be easily parsable by those systems. Okay, Ryan, knocking out of the ballpark with the first bullet. Managed a cross-functional team of 20 engineers across multiple time zones to redesign the application's UI UX, improving usability, engagement, and retention. Of course, I'd love to see numbers around usability, engagement, and retention. And mostly because you use the numbers, so you clearly know at least something about product analytics. It would be great if you had a number there. You don't have to just have one number in your bullet. You can have multiple numbers in your resume bullet. So I would encourage you to do that. Introduce a Git branching strategy that resolved key pain points for two engineering teams, cutting merge conflicts by 90%. Ryan, you pay attention, bro. You pay attention. I love it. I'm here for it. That's great. Partner with engineering, product, and business teams to ensure clear requirements definition, reducing miscommunication. Yep, that's good. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to pretend that you're going to be able to put numbers in every bullet. I don't even think that on my resume I was able to put a number in every single bullet of mine. But you should strive and endeavor to have numbers in all of your bullets if you can. Okay. But admittedly, some bullets are going to be used more for demonstrating your ability to use your soft skills, and it may not be easily measurable, and I get that. Okay, so I don't want to be unfair or legalistic about it. It's just a goal that you should strive for. Interesting. So provided subject matter expertise and contributed to a project that saved around $5 million by streamlining workflows and cutting application users time by 7 minutes per use. $5 million what? $5 million? And if it's say $5 million, $5 million over what time period? Is it just $5 million total, or is it $5 million per year? $5 million total is different than $5 million per year. Okay, one is more impactful than the other. Was it 5 million minutes? Right? I don't know, because you didn't tell me what the unit of measure was. That is such a huge number that it probably should be your first bullet point, or at least your second bullet point. Because saving around 5 million is a big impact. That's not trivial. Yeah, so I think this is great. This is good. The other bullet points here, again, I used to break out my resume by different role. And the reason why I break it out by role is to show the progression. Like, I started as an intern, then I went to a senior, to mid-level engineer, then to a senior engineer. Like, I get showing the progression, and it doesn't hurt you here to do that. Yeah, I guess it's up to you whether you choose to break it out by role within a specific company. Leadership. I think this is an interesting section here, because this really kind of falls under like projects or volunteer experience. So I like that you have this. I'm a fan of NSBE, of course, and I think it's great that you thought about those bullet points the same way that you think about it in your professional experience. So it clearly shows. So you led a 5-person team. That is fantastic. To coordinate logistics for a conference. How many people attended the conference? When you say large scale, how did you measure that? Right? For some people, large scale for them means 200. For other people, large scale means 20,000. So you know how many people attended the conference. You should have that on your resume. Period. How many days was the conference? How well rated was it? Right? I know that the date is there. It's NSBE. Get that on your resume. Same thing for St. Louis College Community Chapter President, right? And again, you're talking 2009, 2011. That was some time ago. It's harder to get those numbers this many years out. Okay? So I get all that. But yeah, this is a pretty good resume, Ryan. I like it personally. I think that it's doing largely what it needs to do. Again, really hard to judge that without looking at the job description, but I don't see any big issues so far. You can, of course, make it better, and I look forward to you doing so. This has been a great time. I really appreciate y'all. I feel like some good was done today. So according to StreamYard, 191 of you decided to tune in at some point or another to check this out. And that is a humbling thing. So thank you so much for being here with me. Just as a reminder, if you want to get to any of the resources that I've mentioned, you can visit anthonydmays.com/links and check them out. Many of my resources are free. I do offer paid coaching if that's something that you're interested in and can afford that. The video that we spent our time talking about is at amaze.me/resume YouTube, or hey, just make it easier on yourself and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube, and you will find out about videos as soon as they drop and be able to benefit. One last thing I'll say is, please don't be selfish. You probably know somebody who can use this information, someone who could use that video, someone who can maybe use the articles that I've produced. I want to be of service to the community, and I can't be of service if they don't know who I am and I don't know who they are. So if you would be so kind and lend your network to me, I would love to to get connected to people who can use this information so that they know. So what does that mean? Like, share, and retweet. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, share, and retweet. I would definitely enjoy that. Again, if you go to the YouTube video, you're gonna find a bunch of helpful resources in the description for the video. And so don't miss that. Don't forget to check that out because I've got articles and things that you can read and follow up. I think between all the stuff that I've given you in the video and in the free resources that I provide, you know, you've got enough that you don't have to pay someone to write your resume. And you probably don't even need to pay anybody to write your LinkedIn. If you take the principles that I have taught you in the video and in the various articles, you know everything you need to know, right, to be rocking. I'm not saying don't pay for help. By all means, if you want to exchange money to save time, nothing wrong with that. But be well informed and realize that there are no shortcuts. Okay, Ryan, I'm grateful for you. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Daryl, for being here. Anuba, thank you. Rena, appreciate you. Levon, what's going on? I sorry I didn't get to review your resume this time around. Lord willing, I'll run this back in maybe another couple of weeks and just try to let you know so that you can get it in. And I won't forget if it's a couple of weeks from now. Michael Jenkins, appreciate you. Wayne Green, thanks for being here, and hopefully you found this useful. Abionan, thanks for being here. Heather is wonderful. I'm sure Heather still can't possibly be here because Heather knows all of this stuff, and I definitely can learn and have learned things from her. So if you find Heather C on Twitter, make sure that you go and check her out because she's dope. Who else am I missing? I think that's about it. Okay, y'all. Oh yeah, Stephen May, my former colleague. Hopefully you're doing well, and great to see you on the stream. Okay, I could be shouting y'all out all night. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. I'm gonna let the music run for a little bit, but in the meantime, y'all have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right? Peace.